BRIC nation and the world's seventh largest economy is currently at a crossroads, according to author Misha Klein. From 2003 to 2011, Brazil experienced exceptional economic growth and laid the foundation for social change. However, the recent economic recession brought back policies of governmental corruption. Stuck right in the middle of the crossroads is the 2014 FIFA World Cup. The World Cup will be a major turning point for Brazil, as many of the political, social, and economic policies enacted by the government as per the requirements of FIFA, soccer's international governing body, will go a long way to shape Brazil as well as its citizens. Brazil has spent $11.5 billion on infrastructure development, such as the high-speed rail seen here, stadium construction, and other FIFA-mandated projects, making it the most expensive ever. Politicians have justified the costs by promising citizens future economic growth and the improvement of urban areas. Some critics, however, have been angered by the costs, and there's been skepticism amongst many. Of all the spending, 15% has come from the private sector, with the public being forced to pick up the balance. Many critics are also warning about the development of white elephants. White elephants are stadiums that are being built solely for the purpose of the month-long tournament, and that will not be used at the end. Author and prominent critic Raul Silvetti argues about some interesting phenomena being developed around the stadiums. He said due to policies such as upscaling and Europeanization, many everyday citizens are unable to go to the games. Some of the policies associated with the stadiums have been soaring ticket prices, the elimination of standing room only seats, as well as the introduction of VIP and luxury boxes only for the wealthy citizens. Back in June 2013, during the Confederations Cup, which is a precursor to the World Cup, the government instituted a 10-cent price hike on bus and transit fares as a means to pay for the World Cup. Due to the widespread anger and social unrest, political demonstrations ensued. These political demonstrations quickly evolved into widespread hysteria and rioting about a whole series of economic and social issues. I interviewed a colleague and Brazilian citizen named Samuel Moraes. I asked him about the 2013 demonstrations and whether it will continue in the future and what kinds of impacts it will have. He told me that the demonstrations will certainly continue. He said only 35% of the government's promises made in 2006 when Brazil won the World Cup have been fulfilled. He said that that money is being taken away from important civic needs such as healthcare, education, and improving public infrastructure. He told me about a recent trip that he took to Brazil when he saw a sign that says, well, now we have FIFA-sponsored stadiums. How about FIFA-sponsored healthcare and FIFA-sponsored education? The riders are consisting of a wide variety of the Brazilian society. Riders include middle-class educated youth, teachers, and union workers who all want some sort of social betterment. Their demands include better working conditions, better pay. They're also fearful of government corruption, inflation, as well as rising ticket prices. They also believe that they can use the World Cup as a great opportunity to leverage the government for what they want, since the eyes of the world will be on Brazil. Not surprisingly, those who have been affected the most have been the poor citizens living in the favelas or slums, as seen here. Many of these citizens have had to endure forced relocations from their homes. They're being sent to government-sponsored housing on the fringes of the city. Some members of this class have not been so lucky. They have had to fend for themselves and find new housing. Many of these critics are arguing that this is FIFA and Brazil's opportunity to gentrify the nation, as well as curb urban violence. The political response to these has been to spend approximately $850 million on improving public safety and security. According to Justice Minister Jose Eduardo Cardoso, he said that one of the biggest legacies of the World Cup will be improvements on public safety. He said for the first time ever, police forces are working under one unified command and working cooperatively opposed to competitively. Another part of the political agenda has been passing what's called World Cup laws. These are a series of laws that are meant to benefit FIFA as well as its primary sponsors. Some of these laws have included the development of commercial zones 2 kilometers around the stadium, which are only being used by sponsors, which are excluding everyday citizens. These sponsors are also getting tax exemptions, which are extremely beneficial. At the same time, Brazil has had to offer temporary visas for any FIFA personnel, as well as foreigners holding tickets. The final law that they had to introduce, which is potentially the most controversial, due to the demands of Budweiser, which is a major sponsor of the games, they have to now permit the sale of alcohol in stadiums. It's very controversial because it's the first time since 2003 that beer will be served in stadiums. It was previously outlawed in 2003 due to widespread hooliganism and stadium violence that occurs in the country. So as you can see, World Cup 2014 is coming at a truly watershed moment for Brazil. Many of the economic, political, and social policies enacted per the requirements of FIFA will go a long way to shaping the country. Although Brazil is experiencing exceptional economic growth, it has to deal with social unrest and political demonstration. It must be asked, has the Brazilian government done all it can to reconcile solid play on the field, and has it done enough to follow its national motto, order and progress?